What is up, guys? Welcome back to the crew 2, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the Audi RS3 LMS after the Season 8 Episode 1 handling update. I actually feel like this is going to be one of those cars that I've basically never used at all, hence that's probably why I only have 16 miles on this thing after testing it. Overall though, guys, I could probably see why this car was never used in the past, and I have a weird feeling that's probably not going to change now, which is kind of unfortunate. Overall, though, I do think the Audi is a pretty awesome looking car. It's kind of odd to me how a lot of games or I guess Need for Speed for that matter, which is definitely kind of odd considering you would think Need for Speed out of all games would probably have some Audis. It's definitely kind of sad that Unbound has literally none, but at least on the Crew 2 or Motorfest, I would definitely say we're probably going to see them. Nonetheless, though, the Audi RS3 is by far going to be a pretty interesting car. I was noticing with a top speed test, this car does around 258 miles per hour, so it's definitely not going to be slow in any aspect, but I really do feel like, guys, even with a car having a higher top speed, the biggest thing with some of these cars is probably going to be the way they handle. I was noticing even if some cars do accelerate decently, which by the way I would find the Audi RS3 to be slightly annoying, the main reason for that is yes, it's going to be a 6-speed, but it's probably going to be due to the fact of how fast you have to shift it. This car is going to redline so dang quickly basically in every single gear. Honestly, I would probably prefer to drive the Corvette C3 over the RS3, which I really do think is going to be kind of odd considering that's a 4-speed, but I was having a lot more fun shifting that car than I was with the RS3. I was noticing this a lot more when testing out the Audi a bit more often. I was actually finding myself downshifting an extra gear when I did not have to, and then of course around certain corners I would actually upshift once again when it wasn't actually needed to do so, so I would basically lose a lot of power, and I was doing this a tad too often with this car as well, so the RS3 is definitely going to be kind of odd when it comes to its transmission. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm also not the biggest fan of the way this car does handle. I was messing around with its pro settings a bit to try to get this thing right, but even then I wasn't having the most confidence around corners with this Audi, which is kind of odd considering it's obviously a race car. But then again, I also thought back to why I never seen anybody run this vehicle back in the day. To be honest, guys, I don't think I've ever seen one person run this car, which is kind of interesting considering there's a lot of touring cars in the game now, and I would say a lot of them are probably better than they used to be, but also testing out the Audi is going to show me that some are probably not going to be the greatest even after that update. I found the stability even on the C3 to not be perfect, to at times be a lot better than how the Audi does handle as well, so it really is insane how certain cars are going to be better than others, and how some are just downright going to have some flaws that are going to make a lot of these touring cars insanely hard to pick over some of the others. And if I'm being honest, guys, I really thought the C3 was going to be worse than the Audi, and after testing out this car I was like, my goodness, like, what is wrong with this thing? It just doesn't feel that great. The overall turning stability is kind of wonky on it, and I really get annoyed with how the transmission does act on this car. You can either shift this thing way too much or not enough, and you also find yourself being slightly slow in some areas. Even in this event I was testing it out on, I actually had a few tries where I was actually having issues keeping up with some of the AI or passing them. I would say if a car's having issues passing AI, that's probably going to be a pretty big red flag, but overall, guys, I do want to know your thoughts on the Audi RS3 in the comments below, and here are my updated settings on the Audi RS3.